This is Capitol View with your host, Jesse Tenor.
This week on Capitol View, we featured the candidates for House District 84. You heard Representative Charlie Collins and Denise Garner talk guns and ethics, among other things, but there was a lot we weren't able to show you. Here's the entire forum in a Capitol View web exclusive. Just like we've been doing in our other legislative panels, I first wanted to give you a chance to explain just why this race. So Denise, since I haven't had you on the show before, you've worked in a variety of fields, nurse practitioner, small business owner, nonprofit founder. So why did you look at this race and say, I need to be in it?
Absolutely. I was blessed to grow up in a family that believed that democracy only worked if everyone had a voice. And my mother was an educator, my dad was a scientist, and so you know, they showed me in there by example, I guess, that if someone didn't have a voice, that we were responsible for making sure that that voice was heard as well. You know, I learned while working with them that if I didn't like a situation that was going on, that I needed to jump in and try to help fix it. I was not only encouraged, but actually expected to do that. And because of that, I learned to listen and research and advocate for folks. And that's what I've done my entire career, and that's what I want to do for the folks in District 84. As we've gone around to meet and greets, we have heard folks say that their voices are not being heard. The skill sets that I learned from my parents have served me well as a nurse practitioner, certainly in small business and in the nonprofit realm. And I think that's exactly what we need in the legislature right now. Someone who is collaborative, who listens, who will research and use the data that's presented and advocate for their district.
Okay. Well, Charlie, you've been in the legislature since 2011 in the House, and so why make a go for re-election yet again?
Well, my whole focus since I've gotten into the House has been all about how do we improve the lives of our Kansans. And in my view, the number one way we do that is by turning our state into a good jobs magnet. More, better, higher paying jobs is the key to the future. And I've been focused on several things to help achieve that. Number one is lowering the income tax rates in our state, which are higher than any of the other states around us. And what this does is it prices our workers out of the market relative to other states. I've also worked on reducing regulation and litigation to help generate more innovation so that we can create more opportunities for workers. And so far that's going very well. Our unemployment rates are at the lowest that they've been in decades, so I'm feeling good about where we are, but there's still a lot more work to be done. I've also played a leading role in the state's health care leadership. We've actually pioneered what I think is the best response to the Affordable Care Act in the private option, which is now Arkansas Works. And we've created that balance between how do we provide essential services for folks, but at the same time expect personal responsibility and the same kinds of behaviors that people go to work every day. So we're training people for the workforce through that process. We're doing things to help create more jobs, and I want to continue working with Governor Hutchinson to do even more of that in 2019.
And when people look at this race specifically, you know that one of the first things that they think of as far as issues come is guns. And Charlie, one of the pieces of legislation that you sponsored this last go around in this session was, of course, the enhanced carry bill. And so moving forward, I mean, it made national news because of the effects that it could have with Razorback Stadium and others. You guys figured out a way to help with that. But it continues to be controversial. So in 2019, moving forward, do you plan to expand, you know, the enhanced carry permit holders' rights even more? What do you hope to do?
I put out 2 press releases the entire time I've run for office. They were both in the fall of 2010, and they both recommended radical changes to how we do things in order to improve the quality of life for our Kansans. The first press release said I was going to cut income taxes, an idea that was viewed as crazy at the time. The second idea was how we were going to improve public safety, how we were going to deter some of these mass shooters that have been murdering our loved ones and children in places like college campuses and other sensitive areas. And I talked about that in 2011 in the legislature, in 2013 and 2015, and then in 2017, I finally got enough of a consensus, working collaboratively with my colleagues, the governor's office, and many others to put a piece of legislation together which will help deter crazy killers from murdering our loved ones, from shooting them like sitting ducks. And the profile that the Secret Service has put together on a rampage killer shows that these types of people don't just jump up spontaneously and start shooting. They plot and they plan. They plot and they plan. And one of the things they look for is being able to carry out a mission. And the mission has to do with how many people am I going to kill, or some other idea that's going to get the television cameras, that's going to get them attention. While they're planning and plotting, if they realize through that process somebody could stop them before they've achieved their goals, that's the kind of thing that can deter them. That's why I've been working for this public safety improvement, and I'm proud to say that working with my colleagues, we were able to make changes from some of the initial ideas I had. For example, adding a major training requirement to the concealed carry program to create this enhanced license, which has taken my idea for how we keep people safer, made it better, and got the kind of consensus that gets 70% legislative approval in the session, in this past session. So I'm proud of what we've done to keep our people safe. Public safety is job one for a legislator.
Denise, you've said that you'd like to see this legislation be rolled back, but with a Republican legislature, Republican governor who support this, how would you go about doing that? What's your plan?
Well, I've got so many problems with Bill 562 that it's really hard to start. But the first thing that I want to say is that it has absolutely nothing to do with taking responsible gun owners' weapons away. I do respect the Second Amendment. Our families, my husband's and my families, both have been long-term gun owners. Hershey and I have been hunters and are concealed carry certificates. So, you know, it's not a Second Amendment issue. It is a bill that is a poor attempt at a solution for gun violence. What started as the campus carry was really a solution for a problem that didn't exist in Arkansas. Our college campuses were already safe. We didn't have issues there. Crime was already decreasing before 562. You know, Representative Collins had already pushed a bill through that the campuses could opt into having guns on campus, and every single one of our universities in Arkansas opted not to do that. And, you know, he took local control away from those college campuses. And even that wasn't good enough. We have to now force the issue so that there are guns everywhere, and that's in public parks and playgrounds and libraries and the AMP here, War Memorial Stadium, Verizon, let's see, any campus tailgate, the DMV, city council meetings, the courthouse, public housing, churches, even frat houses. I mean, what could go wrong there? The bill is irresponsible, it's confusing, and it's extremist. You know, guns are not okay in every public place. And we saw some pushback nationally with the football stadiums when we were dealing with NCAA sanctions, and then as well the hospitals because of hospital funding. So it is definitely, you know, it's definitely a problem with the bill itself, and it's not just a public safety issue. It's also our reps' role, I think, in the legislative process. The bill was passed with explicit wishes of the stakeholders and the experts and the voters themselves who were against it. Charlie Collins didn't listen. He didn't listen to the university students or the parents. He didn't listen to faculty or staff. He didn't listen to the campus police, and he didn't listen to the local security. So, you know, that is not what your representative is elected to do, and that's something that I take very seriously. Arkansas.
Your response to who you were listening to when you were trying to implement all this?
Yes, certainly. I get all kinds of input from lots of people. I probably had more meetings with campus officials and leaders of campuses over the several years that I've been working on the bill along with lots of other people and took in lots of information. What I would submit is this is about public safety. How do we keep our loved ones safe? And actually, I think the person that probably put it best is our sheriff here in Washington County. He is a Democrat, and he was appointed to the School Safety Commission by Governor Hutchinson. And now we're not talking about anything I'm involved in. My bill had to do with college campuses and government buildings and other places. But with regard to high schools and elementary schools and those types of things, a school safety commission was put together. I am not on it, so I have no say in it. This is independent work separately from me.
Yeah, no lawmakers even.
Here's what the Democrat sheriff had to say, and I'm reading now quoting from him in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. Washington County Sheriff Tim Helder, chairman of the commission's law enforcement subcommittee, said the suggested strategies can be immediately implemented and will effectively improve safety. Understanding that there is a difference between feeling safe and being safe, and that is what's so critical in this issue. I wish that I could wish bad guys away. I wish that I could pass a law that would keep murderers from getting a hold of guns, getting a hold of knives, using cars improperly. I wish all of these things. But the reality is we're seeing people shot all over this country in mass shootings, and the body counts are not acceptable. And we need to do some things, this is just one, to help deter them. What the sheriff said was, we believe true safety can only be accomplished with a paradigm shift where we recognize and acknowledge the vulnerability of schools in today's society. Helder said in introducing the proposals to the full commission. And it goes on to say that only a rapid armed response from inside a school has the ability to deter and minimize the impact, i.e. reduce the number of dead people. And that is the goal. Public safety is job one in my book. And I understand it's controversial, and I understand it's uncomfortable, and I wish it wasn't this way, but I have to keep people safe.
Denise, the School Safety Commission, they've released some of their recommendations, and two of their biggest priorities. One deals with mental health, but then the other deals with making sure there's some sort of armed presence on school campuses. Now, we have to be careful because they're not saying that they're going to require teachers to be armed.
Exactly.
But do you support that plan at all?
I don't have any problems with local control, and I do think there are some situations where rural schools may have to train someone to carry a gun on their campus. I don't have a problems with that. I think that my biggest issue is the training issues, and this extensive enhanced carry is not that. It is 6 hours of a concealed carry and then 4 to 8 hours of enhanced carry. And I can tell you, after going through the class myself, that I could not feel comfortable without going frequently to practice or utilizing that gun over and over and over again.
So you went through the enhanced carry class?
I went through the concealed carry class. And so, and of course, all of the concealed carry instructors now teach the concealed carry class as well. So I got lots of information from him. But the problem is that we've got to have local control. The campuses know best about their security issues. They're the ones that know best. Even in Tennessee, where they do have a campus carry, they require the students to register those guns so that the campus police don't go into a classroom and shoot the wrong person because something's going on. Again, we haven't had those issues in Arkansas, but I don't have any problems with trained security carrying guns. It's those folks who think they're trained and think they're competent because they've been through 14 hours of class. And that's not enough. It's not enough.
So I know that we got into guns, one of the biggest issues of the campaign. Another one, you've mentioned this a little bit, is of course going to be health care. Charlie, you were obviously very instrumental in the Arkansas Works program. You supported the work requirement. Since we have seen people the recipients start to be kicked off of it and everything, looking at that, is it panning out the way you'd hoped?
Yeah, so what I would do is I would go back to when the ACA was passed, and many states had to make a decision. How do we respond? Do we expand the traditional Medicaid program? Do we say, no, Washington, D.C., keep all the tax money that you took with the ACA, but we don't want to do anything? And in Arkansas, we came up with a unique solution. We were the only state that said to Washington, D.C., neither D.C. option is good enough for us. We want a waiver from the program. We want an exemption from the program. We want to craft our own program that takes the money back from Washington, uses it to pay for private insurance policies, and begins to take the people that are in the program and have them behave in the same ways that everyday, hardworking Arkansans behave in. Things like deductibles and getting approvals before you get different kinds of procedures. And one of those things, if you're in the 20%, I believe, of people that are not accepted because of advanced age, because they're caring for young children, because they're themselves disabled, because they're caring for elderly parents, because they already have a job, because they have a volunteer, or other exemptions, for those people that are of prime working age with no other obligations, that they be expected to pursue getting a job. I stand by that 100%. We want everyone to have the opportunity for all the benefits that come from going out and getting a job and having a life like everyday hardworking Arkansans who are paying for these benefits. Now, if somebody is disabled, if somebody's taking care of a disabled parent or their own young children, or there's some other reason, our program allows for exceptions. But if none of those apply and you're just a prime working age person with no disabilities and no other responsibilities, then it's a good idea, and I think it's the right thing for us to do, to expect them to be looking for a job or to get involved volunteering. They can do that as well. So I fully support the program.
Denise, do you view the program the same as Charlie?
No, not exactly. We actually do agree on the Medicaid expansion. You know, I'm a retired oncology hospice nurse. I'm married to a doctor and a cancer survivor. I'm mom to a second-year medical resident and daughter of a mother with dementia. So healthcare is both personal and professional to me. And providing quality health care is morally, ethically, and economically responsible. We did provide the public option with Governor Beebe, and I agree with the Arkansas Works. Unfortunately, our federal government is cutting away a lot of the provisions that help it to work. And so it's already difficult to get quality health care in Arkansas if you're a Medicaid recipient. And then with this new Works program, that's not the problem. And the folks that I've worked with in nonprofit world and healthcare in the last 30 years, they are working. That's not the issue. The issue is the reporting requirements. And basically, these reporting requirements have effectively dropped 4,500 Arkansans, men, women, children, from the roles of our healthcare. And, you know, it's not because they're not working. It's because they may not have access to internet or where the reports have to be filed. A swath of Arkansas does not have internet services. It could be because they work all day and the website isn't up and running at night. It could be that the website has been ineffective for a while. They've had difficulties with the website. Or it could be just that most of these folks are more transient and they just don't know. They don't get the mail, they don't get issues. And so we have 4,500 Arkansans that have been dropped from this insurance, from their insurance program, and they can't reapply for it for a year. Mm-hmm. And so they have to wait for the next year. So we have 4,500 people that effectively have no insurance, which means that they are going into a less effective, less efficient, more expensive health care that we're all paying for, and because they can't get health care services except from the ER. So
before we go, I want to get into ethics really quick. And so, you know, former lawmakers, several of them face federal jail sentences for taking kickbacks from state gift money that they gave to Ecclesia College in Springdale. And so, Charlie, you directed $14,000 in gift money to Ecclesia between 2013 and 2015, and people have been zoning in on that and criticizing you for that. What's your response?
Over 2011, 2013, 2015, District 84, former District 89 in 2011, was fortunate in the Northwest Economic Development District to have for use in our area over $400,000 in GIF grants. And I was involved in over 400,000 grants, making a recommendation for those boards to approve them. I typically did grants in a size like $5,000 to $10,000 rather than allocate large sums into any one place. The biggest grants I did were to the City of Fayetteville, the Fayetteville National Cemetery Expansion Group, and some others. With Ecclesia, I had a chance to spend a day there and got to talk to the students, got to meet the leader of that place. This would have been in 2013 or 2014. From what I saw during the day that I was there, it was an excellent option for people that live in District 84 or all of Northwest Arkansas who maybe don't have the grades to go to a school that has higher requirements, or maybe don't have the money because it's a work-study program. And I thought it was a good option for people that would want it. And from what I saw, I trusted that what I saw, the leader's commitment to the mission and commitment to the students, was something that had been ongoing and would continue. And obviously, with his guilty plea, it's clear that I was wrong about him.
Denise, what's your response? You said that the school should give the grant money back.
There's just so much about the Ecclesia scandal, Ecclesia scandal. It is the epitome of legislative swampiness in Arkansas. And I think that even if Representative Collins was shown not to be involved in the kickback schemes or the bribery or the money laundering, you did take money from contributors of those involved. And, I think that the voters deserve the answer to the question as to why. Why give our district's GIF funds to a private religious non-traditional college with 200 students and a graduation rate of 6 to 15% when, and it's outside the district, outside 84, while withholding funds for the U of A, which impacts our district in a multitude of ways. And I think the voters deserve an answer to that.
Do you have a response?
Yeah, so one of the things that we changed, and I was a lead person in the design of it, since we've now got Republicans making decisions, we don't always disadvantage Northwest Arkansas. For example, the college formula, called the Fair Funding Formula, has been used over the years to disadvantage our schools, NWAC and University of Arkansas, to the extent of overfunding schools in other parts of the state. And what we did is we added $10 million to higher ed funding, and it is based on merit and performance. And University of Arkansas Fayetteville is receiving millions of dollars of incremental money behind that program. And I was instrumental in helping to make sure it was designed in a way that would meet the needs of rewarding schools for merit. The other thing that I would say is if we're sincere about swampiness, then we would expand our view of it from one of the situations that has ended badly to others. For example, this individual, Rusty Cranford, was hired by Teach for America by the Democrat candidate for governor, paid lobbyist money to lobby for millions in GIF, and that lobbyist has now said to the FBI that he was bribing a legislator on behalf to deliver a GIF grant for Teach for America to pay the six-figure salary of the executive director and to pay the lobbying bill. So if there are questions to be answered, I think they need to be asked more broadly. I'm not saying that Jared Henderson did anything wrong. I'm just saying the associations seem to me to be much closer than the associations that my opponent is bringing up. And if we're going to get all this as part of the discussion, then I think he needs to answer some questions too.
What do you think about Henderson's
You know,
involvement?
all I can say is what I know about myself, and that is, you know, I can only guess about the motivation for what was going on with these folks. I guess that it was power or greed or maybe a lack of research in Charlie's case, but, you know, I can tell you this with certainty, and that is I have no desire for a long-term political career. I could care less about the power associated with a legislator. And I'm not taking campaign funds from out-of-state PACs or special interest groups. I want to be the representative for the people. And I will do whatever I can, both professionally and ethically, to make sure that I'm doing that for the voters of District 84.
Denise, Charlie, a lot for voters to consider, but we really appreciate you coming on the show and breaking down some of the biggest issues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And be sure to catch Capitol View on the air Sunday mornings at 8:30 on KARK right before Meet the Press.